Ahoy and welcome back to another video. Today is the last day of March, so I'm releasing my favorite games of March 2024. I've done a couple of these videos for January and February, going through all the games I played each month. I don't go through just the games that came out that month. I talk about all the games I played, and then I pick my favorite game of the month is the one that did come out in the month. I'm trying to make a nice, helpful tool for me to understand at the end of the year what my favorite games were each month, so I can look back on it and help myself make a good GOTY list. Because I tend to, at the end of the year, you kind of forget the beginning of the year, and I want to be able to have something to look back on. So, I'll start off with the games that I played that did not come out in March. Did not play a whole lot of games this month. A whole lot of games in number-wise. I played a whole lot of hours of one particular game that I'll get into. But as far as number of games, it's a pretty light month for me. Basically 5 games, 3 old ones, 2 new ones. Old ones as in not from March, but still pretty new games. First one, quick, played a little bit of Smash Ultimate this month. The real reason I played this month is they had the last Spirit event, and I've been keeping up a full list of all the Spirits in Smash Ultimate. I've had a complete list basically since the game launched. Every time they add one, I keep up with it. I keep beating the new Spirit events as they come. They added the last ones. It was from Princess Peach Showtime and Super Mario Wonder. I think it was like 1,528 spirits or something like that. So I now have a complete list. Finally, they said they're not going to add any more, so I can finally put Smash Ultimate down. A really great game. Some of the most fun multiplayer I've had. Just overall a great game, great time. A lot of single player content. Put hundreds of hours in that game, and I'm really excited to see with you on the Switch 2. My personal thought is on the Switch 2, they're not going to make a new Smash. They're just going to make a Smash Ultimate Deluxe, and it's just going to be come with all the characters, maybe a couple new characters, similar to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They're gonna Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Smash Ultimate on the next Switch is my theory. Next game I played for February, not February, that wasn't for March, is a game that came out in February, and it's a roguelite called Balatro. Now, I heard about Balatro as it was, I think it was in like the Steam Next Fest, so people were talking about it before it released, and then it released, and it came out to high praise, and a lot of people were saying it's a really great game. I didn't really get it. I kind of brushed it off because the concept of Balatro, it's basically a roguelite where you're making poker hands to score. So, I don't know how to play poker. Never really had any big interest in poker. So I just kind of wrote it off like, that's not a game for me. But it kind of wore down on me. I kept hearing people talk about it, kept hearing about how fun it was, and I decided to give it a try. And I'm pleased to say that I love that game a whole lot. It's very hard to put down. And if you also don't like poker or know anything about poker, it's really not so much a poker game as much it is just like a deck building roguelite that you happen to play poker hands in. So the main concept is you get dealt a hand of cards, and with those hand of cards you want to play poker hands. So you have like your pair, 2 pair, a 3 of a kind, full house, so like 3 of one, 2 of the other, straights, flushes, all the same suit, or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in an order. So you're playing these poker hands, and they all come with like base points and multipliers. And the cards you play add to the base points, and then you have the multiplier, and they add up to a number. And basically, you're playing each round is like a sequence of I think you get 4 hands at base. You have to play 4 hands to try to score how many points that round is. But where this game gets really fun and where the real strategy comes in is you get these Joker cards. So Joker cards are basically your build, for lack of a better word, for this roguelite. So you get a Joker hand that makes every diamond card you play add to the multiplier. So you play a diamond card, and it makes that multiplier number go up. Or you get a Joker where you have these discards where you can like get rid of cards in your hand if you want a new one. So like say every discard you don't use, your base score goes up, and then that goes with the multiplier. So basically you build this combination of jokers to create a really like a strategy for how you want to play, what kind of hands you want to play, what kind of multipliers you're going after, and it's so fun. I played it. I bought it before I went on a trip, and I was playing it on the plane. I was playing it the whole time I was on the trip. Any downtime I get, any downtime I could get, I was playing it. Anytime somebody was driving and I was in the passenger seat, I was getting in 5-10 minutes of Balatro. I didn't realize how much I had played of it. I've played like 20 something hours of it, and I've only had it for a few weeks, and it doesn't feel like I played it that much. I just, I'm just glued to the Switch whenever I have it. I've won. I think, I've won. There's like different decks you can get that have different base gimmicks. I won't get into all that, but I've won like with 4 different decks, and I've won on one deck on several different difficulties. It's really a great game. I talked about the jokers and how that builds your deck. There's like whole other. There's tarot cards. There's planet cards. There's these other gimmick cards. I forget what they're called. Coupons, certificates, vouchers. They're called vouchers. And basically, you're trying to like use all these different tools to create a really fun broken build. So when you're playing these poker hands, you get really big numbers. And it's really satisfying to get like a 3-digit number times a 4-digit number. Then you get like 100,000 points. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to keep playing it. I want to try to get all the jokers and get all the different things unlocked. It's one of those games where not only did I beat it and I want to keep playing, which I think is a good sign, but also it's one of those roguelites where when I lose, I immediately click go for the next run. And it seems like every new build I make, every next run, it feels even more fun than the last, which I think is also a good sign of how fun a roguelite is. Like, you don't want to be like it's only fun if you get a very specific build and the rest of it's like boring. I want to start over and get this fun build. No, it's like every build I get, every time I'm building something with my Joker cards, it feels more fun than the last time. It's got like one song in the whole game, but it's like a really nice. It like gets me in the zone. I'm probably going to put it on this video, honestly, as the background music. I love Balatro. I think it's a great game. I think for what it's trying to do, it's got pretty simple like look to it, a pretty like basic overall concept, but it's very well done. It's extremely satisfying. The sound effects and everything it's very satisfying to play the cards, the little sounds they make. It's such a fun game. I think it's like a 10 of 10 game for what it is. I think I was checking my list. I'm the entire list of games I have on the Switch, I've only given like 4 games 10s, and I think Balatro very well could be the 5th one that I give a 10. I think it's a fantastic game. And speaking of fantastic games, the game I have been playing the most this month is this one, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So this came out on leap day. So technically it came out in February, but it's been the main game I've played all March. I'm not going to talk any story spoilers, so if you're playing the game and you're worried about that, I'm not going to talk about that, don't worry. But I do want to show off some of the, I got the deluxe edition, so I got this cool box. Got some cool, there we go, some steel books. I think they look real neat. Happy to have these for the shelf. A shout out to Best Buy for this one. I think that's a really cool steelbook there. But yeah, I guess for some background, Final Fantasy VII Remake, the part 1 of this trilogy of games, is in my top 10 favorite games ever. I love Remake. Back when it came out in 2020, it was actually my first Final Fantasy game, and I've since come back to play a lot of our Final Fantasy games, but I fell in love with the characters. Everyone says this about Final Fantasy VII because it's like the correct take. The characters are so good. They are so personable, and you can really feel how they interact with each other and how they're such a fun group. They're funny, they're emotional, they're you can see their intentions and relate to them, and you want to root for them. And the characters in this game are just so in Rebirth are so good. They play off each other so well. I don't have a character I don't like story wise. Even characters that I don't like love to play as, I think in the story are really good and really help me feel emotionally invested in what's going on. I think this game, so this is obviously like a bigger, this is the open world section of FF7. If you played FF7, you know the beginning of the game and Midgar is pretty linear. That's what Remake was. It's a pretty linear chapter by chapter take of remaking that game. And then Rebirth is supposed to emulate when you get out in the open world for the first time. There's all these places to go around, all this free exploration. And it's crazy to me just how well they capture that in this game. I didn't think they'd be able to get that scope with remaking this game, Rebirth. But that's not even what surprised me the most. What surprised me the most is they didn't just make it big and like unruly and like big for the sake of being big. Like, it is big, but it's so fun to explore, and I want to do every little thing. It's not like other open world games where it's like I don't want to go. Like, there's towers in this game. There's literally like towers, like you think from an Ubisoft game where you go get the tower and it like opens up a little part of the map. I love doing that. It's so satisfying in this game, and the game does such a good job of breaking up the different parts of it. So you've got the linear story sections where you're getting these great character moments and the story, the overall plot's developing. But then you've got these the goofy, funny moments with all the characters. But then in between that, you've got these exploration sections. You got this big, beautiful open world. It's got great music in the background. There's fun enemies to fight along the way. And then you're not just going from tower to tower to tower. You're going from tower to combat challenge to random little mini game to hidden item in the ground over there. And then you're getting chocobos and you're finding secrets. It's so, everything feels so different, and you're never doing the same thing for too long, with the exception of a couple times. Sometimes you play a lot of mini games in a row, and you're like, okay, I think I've had it with this mini game. But for the most part, everything felt fresh. Like, you're constantly getting new things to do, and it was always fun to do them. I mentioned the mini games. There's FF7 had a lot of mini games originally, and in this game there's so many freaking mini games. Whether it just be like the Queen's Blood, the card game that's like throughout the whole game that you're playing constantly and you're building your deck out, which is a ton of fun, or it's just like one-off mini games that are just there to put an interesting twist in the story or break up the pacing a little bit. They're also fun. I love. So far, I've been going back to every minigame and trying to get the highest score. Not just because I'm a freak and I want to get the Platinum Trophy and get all the checkboxes, but also because it's fun to do the minigames. The minigames are enjoyable to do for the most part. There's one or two where I like them not as much, and I'm trying not to say well the minigames work because I don't want to spoil it for everybody. There's one or two where like I don't love them as much as the other minigames, but I like them enough to still get the highest score, and it makes me feel real good to see all those checkboxes and get all those rewards for every little thing you do in this game. You don't just level up from battling enemies. You level up from doing side quests and for having like character interactions. It feels like every little thing you do in this game, you're building up your party, not just your team, but the combination of all of your team members is growing. And it's so good. The game is beautiful. I'm playing on graphics mode, which is pretty atypical for me. Normally I play on performance mode, the 1080-60 mode. But this game, I'm not bothered by the lower option for the frame rate. Normally I am, but the game looks so good. I've been playing on the graphics mode. And I've gotten used to it. I liked Remake so much, and Remake didn't play at 60 either, and I got used to that. So this just kind of felt like a natural step into that. like I said, the music is so good, whether it's the new music or the old remixes of songs. I don't think there's a song I haven't enjoyed. Some of the background, like overworld music, is genuinely very good. There's one for a later area in the game that, or maybe later area in the game, that like I just literally put the controller down and just like sat there and like listened to it for a little bit. It's so good. The combat, I've loved Remix combat. It's like the action, it's like an action RPG, but then you can slow down the gameplay and then do like basically turn-based actions. So you build up your little ATB meters by playing the action part of the game. Then you can do different turn-based-ish mechanics. And I love it's so good. I hope the next Final Fantasy has it. As much as I love 16 and that was a fun action game, I hope Final Fantasy 17 has the Final Fantasy 7 remake battle system. And it, like, assessing all the enemies, like reading about them and then seeing their weaknesses. And I love that it could just be a simple thing like a new enemy comes up and it's like, okay, it's weak to fire. You stagger it by hitting it with fire. No, some enemies are like that, but a lot of enemies have unique ways they interact with you in the environment. Whether it's how they move or how they attack, and you stagger them in like creative ways that are specific to that enemy. Like it makes each enemy not just feel like a trash mob that you're just throwing a fireball at and killing. It's like, okay, this guy, I've got to wait till he attacks and he opens his mouth and I hit him with an ice attack in his mouth, or go after their appendages, like their arms, or if I block this one attack, that'll stagger them. There's so many of the enemy. There are the ones that you just hit with the effective material and they get staggered, whatever. That's fine, and some enemies need to be that, so it's not so exhausting. But it is nice to see so many of the enemies have unique mechanics almost built into them on how you should deal with them, and it just makes the combat so satisfying. There's like the team up attacks, the synergy attacks now, and those are all so flashy and fun. The combat just begs you to experiment, whether it be with materia or character combinations. I'm pretty partial to just using Cloud, Aerith, Barret, mainly Cloud because obviously you play as Cloud, and then Barret to hit the range things that Cloud can't hit, and then Aerith to heal and nuke people with fireballs. But also the other characters are so fun. Tifa's a lot of fun. I don't use some of the other characters you get as much, but the four you had in Remake that I'm used to, Tifa, Barret, Aerith, and Cloud, I enjoy using all of them because they still felt natural to me. As well as Yuffie, she's in the DLC for Remake Part 1, and she's a ton of fun as well. So I love playing with all the characters. I love being with all the characters. I love hearing all the characters. This game lives and dies. Even if like the story was bad, which I don't think it's bad. I think the story is, I'm not going to say what happens, but I think the story is fine, and it's progressing through the story, and you're getting developments and twist here, twist there, yada yada. But it's the character interactions and the way they talk to each other and the way they bring you through the story that is so good. They could be a terrible, I could not care about the story at all, but as long as those characters are there to bring me through it, I'm invested. I'm loving every second of it. I'm very close to the end. I don't know if I'm like at the end or if I'm just like 90% there. But like I said, I've been doing everything along the way, so it's been a slower, longer process for me. But I'm loving every second of it. I'm going to do everything I can to see everything I can in that game. Retroactively, it's my February game of the month, even though it came out on the last day of February. Okay, so after all that spieling of the games, the February games I like so much, I would like to talk about the March games now. First March game I want to talk about is one I was just streaming just for this video. It just came out today, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it. But Pepper Grinder. At the time of recording this, it came out just today. I downloaded it, I streamed it. It's a pretty fun game. It's a 2D platformer, like a little retro not retro style, but like pixel graphics, not retro. It's very pretty. I like some of the background songs. It sounds like there's a lot of different tracks for each level. Basically, it's a level-based platformer. Start here, get collectibles, get to the level. But the main twist is you have this drill. You are Pepper, and then the drill is Grinder, so Pepper Grinder. And basically use the drill to attack enemies, or you can dive into dirt, get momentum, and shoot yourself out, and use that momentum and locomotion as the main platforming tool. It's a lot of fun. I got a little frustrated with some things. I think that there's like these different gimmicks in every level. Like one of them has you like pick up a machine gun and shoot the enemies. That was fun. And then sometimes you get one I got like on a snowmobile, and that was fun. I was going real fast, jumping off ramps. But then there's these little grapple things that you spin around, and I can't quite get a feel for them. Where I feel like I want to use the drill to speed up and spin up and launch myself. But what happens actually when you try to use the drill, it just like you just jump off automatically where you're at, and I feel like my brain it's not intuiting. It's not intuitive to me like how I'm supposed to react with that specific mechanic. So whenever I see those little grapple hooks, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore, because it feels so good going through the dirt and snaking around and flying out. That feels really good. I didn't like so much the aerial grabbing out of the grapple hook and jumping off of those as much, but it's a fun game. I've only played like 2 hours of it. I'll probably try to finish it over the next week or so. $15, nothing crazy. Also didn't mention, but Balatro is also $15. I think both those. Balatro's I've definitely got my money's worth with Balatro. I'm sure I'll get my money's worth at a Pepper Grinder. Having fun with it. I will report back next time. But that brings us to our last game we're going to talk about. And this, technically, because I've only played 2 games that came out in March, and Pepper Grinder was one of them, this next game is my March game of the month, even though I have not got as much time with it as I would like to. And that is Unicorn Overlord. It's funny that I played a game called Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and that is not the silliest named game I played the month. But yeah, Unicorn Overlord. Atlus and Vanillaware RPG. When I first heard about this game, I'm a big Fire Emblem guy, so I follow a lot of Fire Emblem YouTube channels, and there's a lot of these channels that were like really excited about playing this game and really hyping it up and playing the demo and talking big about it. And it has some elements of Fire Emblem in it. Like it has like the Fire Emblem-y stats, like your strength and dex and speed and health, and that. A lot of games have those stats, but you know what I mean. It has them in a format that feels familiar to me as a Fire Emblem player and how they interact with each other. But the combat, it's almost like an RTS. You have when you're on a map, you have like a base and then the enemy base, and you send your units to a place, and they walk there in real time while the enemies are walking where they're walking, and when they intercept, it goes into a kind of a turn-based battle. But what's interesting is like it's not just one enemy fighting one player fighting one enemy. It's like a combination, like a squad of people fighting a squad of people. So you can customize this squad. Like, do I want archers and a lord? Do I want a knight in front blocking for the mage? Like, you can customize your different class types or character types in different combinations to where they synergize differently with each other. Like I said, the knight will go in the front row, and they're good at blocking physical attacks that come in. And then like I forget what they're called, the guy on the horse. I don't know if, maybe the knight is the guy on the horse, and the guy with the shield is a vanguard or something like that. Big shield man up front, block with big shield. Man on horse stands in back and runs at them and does big damage. And if you kill somebody, he gets to attack again. Basically, each character has a passive meter and a dynamic meter, passive meter. There's 2 meters. There's basically, you can have a attack and then like some sort of like passive reaction to something, whether it's like getting hit or healing someone. And you can spec out all these characters with the different abilities they can get, and you build up a squad, and then they kind of like auto battle, and you can kind of customize how you want them to auto battle. You can almost like I want to say programming, kind of like I've heard people talk about like the Final Fantasy 12. I think it's called the junction system, where you can like if this then that kind of thing. I think this game has some of that. I'm not far enough in it to where I feel confident enough to say how deep that system gets. I'm only like 7 or 8 hours in, mainly and I'm not because I don't want to play it. I want to play more of this game. It's just Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has taken up all of my free time. But I'm 7 or 8 hours in this game. I don't feel like I scratched the surface of it. I feel like I'm still very early on. Like when you're not in battles, there's actually kind of a little bit of an overworld you can explore with your character, running around getting resources, going to villages, trading things, selling things, buying equipment, hiring new people for your army. I don't have a good vibe for like how I feel about the characters quite yet. The stories so far, the setup of the story is somewhat cliche. If you've played an RPG, and particularly Fire Emblem, it kind of reminds me, you're a blue-haired sword lord, and it starts out the same way Fire Emblem 1 starts, with like someone taking over your kingdom, and you're taken away by a knight to like an island away to train up to go take back your castle, just kind of like how Marth's story works. But it's a fun game. I want to keep playing it. I think the art style it's really growing on me. I didn't love it when I first saw it, but the more I play it, I do really enjoy the character art. Music's great. Combat I can tell the combat's going to click with me. I just don't fully appreciate or understand it yet because I've just got to play it more. And I'm really excited to. Once I finish Final Fantasy, I'm going to be jumping in this for sure. But yeah, like I said, only played 4 games this month, but they were 4 plus Smash Bros. So I played Smash Bros for like a day. So let's say 4 games, but I really liked them all. Unicorn Overlord is pretty easy March game of the month. Pepper Grinder was fun. Balatro is like my new favorite roguelite. Even though that came out in February, I'm going to keep playing that. Like probably for several months. And then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I can't talk enough about this game. I love it. It's fantastic. I still don't know how it ends. I haven't been spoiled yet. I'm really excited to find out how it ends. But yeah, that's the games I played this month. So thank you all for watching that. As far as next month, games I want to get into, I want to get into Final Fantasy 16 DLC Part 2 because I think that's coming out in April. And I might get Stellar Blade. I'm kind of waiting on reviews to see how Stellar Blade works out. I played the demo because the demo released early a couple weeks ago, and I happened to be on when it released, so I played through the demo. The time of recording this, the demo comes out tomorrow, but I've already played it because I just happened to be on at the right time. So Stellar Blade, see how reviews are. Final Fantasy 16 DLC, gonna play that because I already bought it. And then I did finally get my hands on Helldivers 2. I'm looking forward to jumping into Helldivers 2 with some friends online. But yeah, this year's been crazy with games so far. It's only March, and there's already probably enough to make a solid top 10 of games that I've only played. I haven't played half the games I want to play. But great start to the year, and looking forward to see what comes next month. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a like. If you want to see what I talk about next month, consider subscribing. And hopefully I'll get some more videos out in in April. I was a little light on videos in March because all my free time went to Cloud and friends trying to save the world. But I had a blast with it. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.